Today, I have a simple plan. I am going to spend the day in a nearby city. I have visited this city a few times before, but I always enjoy going back. There is a beautiful old town, a large public garden, and a small museum that I have wanted to visit for a long time. I also hope to have lunch in a cafe that someone recommended to me a few weeks ago. I wake up early because I want to avoid rushing. I prefer calm mornings, especially when I have to travel. I make myself a cup of coffee and prepare a light breakfast with toast and fruit. While I eat, I look out of the kitchen window. The weather looks perfect for a day trip. The sky is blue, the sun is already shining, and there is only a light breeze moving the leaves in the trees. Before leaving, I check that I have everything I need. My train ticket is on my phone, my wallet is in my backpack, and I also bring a bottle of water and a small notebook. I enjoy writing down little observations when I visit new places. It helps me remember the small details that I might forget later. The railway station is only a 15-minute walk from my apartment. I leave home with plenty of time, so I do not feel stressed. As I walk through the streets, I notice that the town is slowly waking up. Some cafes are opening their doors, delivery trucks are stopping in front of shops, and people are walking quickly to work. Everyone seems busy, but I continue at my own pace. A few minutes later, I pass a bakery. The smell of fresh bread fills the street, and for a moment, I think about buying a pastry for the train. I almost stop, but I decide to continue walking because I already had breakfast. I tell myself that I can always buy something later if I feel hungry. When I arrive at the station, I hear the familiar sounds of rolling suitcases, footsteps, and train announcements. The main hall is already full of passengers. Some people are standing near the ticket machines, others are sitting on benches while looking at their phones, and a few travelers are drinking coffee before their journey. I walk toward the large departure board to check my platform. I already know my train leaves at 9 o'clock, but I always like to check in case something changes. I look for my destination on the screen. At first, everything seems normal. Then I notice something different. Next to my train, I see one word in bright yellow letters: delayed. I look again because I think I may have read it too quickly. Under the word, I see the estimated delay: 35 minutes. I quietly sigh and look around the station. A few other passengers are also staring at the departure board. Some of them seem surprised, while others simply continue waiting without reacting. I check the time on my phone again, hoping that the information will change, but it stays exactly the same. My first reaction is frustration. I planned my day carefully. I wanted to arrive before 10 o'clock so I could visit the museum in the morning. I even checked the opening hours the night before. Now my schedule is already changing, and I have not even left my town yet. For a few moments, I feel annoyed. I think about everything that might be affected by this delay. Maybe I will have less time to walk through the old streets. Maybe I will need to skip the museum or eat lunch later than I planned. It is surprising how quickly a small delay can change an entire day. I know that becoming angry will not make the train arrive any sooner, but that thought does not immediately help. I walk slowly across the station, looking once again at the departure board as if it might suddenly display better news. Near the platform entrance, I notice several railway employees talking together. One of them is answering questions from the passengers. People seem curious but remain calm. I decide that instead of guessing what is happening, I should simply ask for information. When it is my turn, I politely ask if there is any news about the delayed train. The railway employee explains that there has been a power outage near the previous station. Because of the electrical problem, several trains cannot continue safely. Technicians are already working to solve the problem, but nobody knows exactly how long it will take. The estimated delay is still 35 minutes, although it could change if the repairs take longer. I thank the employee for the explanation and walk away. At least I know the reason now. Even if I cannot do anything about it, having an explanation makes the situation easier to accept. I remind myself that safety is more important than arriving on time. After all, I would rather wait a little longer than travel on a railway line with technical problems. I take a deep breath and look around the station once more. I suddenly realize that I now have something I did not expect this morning. Time. For a moment, I simply stand in the middle of the station and watch the people around me. Everyone reacts differently to the delay. Some passengers look impatient and check the departure board every few seconds. Others quietly sit on the benches, reading a book or listening to music. A few people are talking on the phone, probably explaining that they will arrive later than expected. I decide that there is no reason to keep looking at the departure board. The information is unlikely to change in the next few minutes. Instead, I walk toward a small cafe inside the station. I have already had breakfast, but another coffee sounds like a good idea. The cafe is warm and much quieter than the main hall. I order a coffee and sit near the window, where I can still see the platforms. From my seat, I watch trains arrive and leave while passengers hurry from one platform to another. Even with the delay, the station feels alive. As I slowly drink my coffee, I begin to relax. My frustration is still there, but it is not as strong as before. I remind myself that this situation is completely outside my control. The power outage was unexpected, and nobody at the station wanted it to happen. Becoming angry would only make the wait feel longer. I take out my notebook and write a few lines about the morning. I describe the busy station, the departure board, and the unexpected delay. Writing helps me organize my thoughts, and after a few minutes, I feel much calmer. When I finish my coffee, I decide to walk around the station instead of sitting in one place. There is a small bookstore near the entrance that I have never really explored before. Usually, I arrive only a few minutes before my train, so I never have time to look around. The bookstore is not very large, but it has shelves full of novels, travel guides, magazines, and newspapers. I slowly walk through the different sections without looking for anything specific. I enjoy visiting bookstores because they always feel peaceful. One travel guide catches my attention. It is about small towns and villages across the country. I open it and look at the photographs. Some places look beautiful, with narrow streets, old stone houses, and quiet rivers. I make a mental note to visit one of them someday. After a few minutes, I put the book back on the shelf. I already have enough books waiting for me at home, so I decide not to buy another one today. Still, I enjoyed spending a little time there. It was was a pleasant way to forget about the delayed train. As I leave the bookstore, I hear another announcement in the station. Many passengers immediately stop walking and look toward the loudspeakers. I do the same. The announcement explains that the electrical problem has not yet been completely repaired. The railway company is doing everything possible to restore normal service, but several trains will continue to experience delays throughout the morning. I quietly shake my head. My train is probably not leaving any time soon. For a second, I feel the frustration returning. I had imagined myself already sitting comfortably by the window, watching the countryside pass by. Instead, I am still standing in the station with no clear departure time. I smile to myself. Sometimes reality has different plans. I decide to stop checking my watch every few minutes. Looking at the time does not make it move faster. Instead, I begin observing the people around me more carefully. An elderly couple is sharing a newspaper while waiting for their train. A young family is trying to keep two small children entertained with simple games. A businessman is typing quickly on his laptop, turning the waiting time into working time. Everyone has found a different way to deal with the delay. That thought makes me realize something. I am not the only person whose plans have changed today. Hundreds of passengers are experiencing exactly the same situation. Some of them probably have important meetings, family visits, holidays, or appointments. Compared with many of them, my delay is actually a small inconvenience. Thinking about that helps me feel more patient. I slowly walk back toward the main waiting area. As I pass a row of benches, someone looks up from a book and smiles in my direction. At first, I smile politely without thinking too much about it. Then I stop walking. The face seems strangely familiar. I look again, trying to remember where I have seen this person before. For a few seconds, I cannot place the memory. Then it suddenly comes back to me. It is Mark. We worked together almost 8 years ago in the same office. We were never very close friends, but we always got along well. We often had lunch together with a few other colleagues, and we worked on several projects as part of the same team. When I left the company, we promised to stay in touch, like many people do. But little by little, life became busy. We changed jobs, moved to different neighborhoods, and eventually stopped talking. I realized that I have not seen him in years. What are the chances of meeting him here on the very morning when my train is delayed? I walk toward him with a surprised smile, already thinking about how unexpected this day has become. I greet Mark, and we both seem surprised by this unexpected meeting. It takes us a few seconds to realize that we are really standing in the same train station after so many years without seeing each other. We start talking about the last time we saw each other. It feels strange because so much time has passed, but at the same time, the conversation feels easy. Some people can disappear from our daily lives for years, and yet the connection can return very quickly. Mark explains that he is also waiting for a delayed train. He's going to visit his parents who live in a town not far from mine. He usually travels there once or twice a month, but today His journey is also affected by the power outage. I tell him that I was planning to spend the day in another city. I explain that I wanted to visit the museum, walk around the old streets, and enjoy a quiet day away from my usual routine. I also tell him about my first reaction when I saw the word delayed on the departure board. We both laugh because we recognize that feeling. A small problem can sometimes seem much bigger at the beginning. When something changes our plans, our first reaction is often frustration. But after some time, we can see the situation differently. Mark tells me about his life during the last few years. He changed jobs and now works for a company that creates educational materials. He enjoys his work because he likes creating things that can help people learn new skills. I am happy to hear that he found something he enjoys. When we worked together, he was always interested in learning and improving. It seems that this part of his personality has never changed. I also tell him about my own life. I explain that my routine is sometimes very busy and that I try to find more time for simple activities. I tell him that I enjoy walking, visiting new places, and taking small trips whenever I can. We continue talking while the minutes pass. The interesting thing is that I completely forget about the delay. A little earlier, I was checking my phone every few minutes and feeling impatient. Now, I am sitting in the station, having a pleasant conversation, and the waiting time does not bother me anymore. This reminds me that our experience of time depends a lot on what we are doing. 5 minutes can feel very long when we are waiting for something and feeling frustrated. But an hour can pass quickly when we are enjoying a good conversation. After some time, we decide to get another coffee. The station cafe is still busy, but we find 2 seats near the window. We continue talking about different memories from our old workplace. We remember small moments that we had almost forgotten. We talk about the funny situations that happened at the office, the projects we worked on, and the people we used to know. It is interesting to look back at the past. At the time, those moments seemed normal, but years later they become good memories. We realize that everyday experiences often become special when we look back at them. While we are talking, another announcement comes from the station speakers. This time, the news is better. The railway company has repaired the electrical problem, and trains will slowly start running again. There will still be some delays because the schedule needs time to return to normal, but the situation is improving. Everyone in the waiting area reacts differently. Some people immediately stand up and prepare their bags. Others continue sitting because they are waiting for more information about their specific train. I check the departure board again. My train is finally showing a new departure time. It is not exactly on schedule, but at least I know I will leave soon. I look at Mark and realize something interesting. If the train had arrived on time this morning, I would probably never have seen him. I would have arrived at the platform, found my seat, and started my journey without this unexpected meeting. A simple delay changed the entire beginning of my day. We walk together toward the platform. The station is still busy, but the atmosphere feels different now. Earlier, I only saw a problem. Now, I see an opportunity that I did not expect. When our train arrives, passengers slowly enter the carriages. Everyone seems relieved to finally continue their journey. Mark and I find seats close to each other. We continue talking as the train begins to move away from the station. Looking through the window, I watch the city slowly disappear. The buildings become smaller, and soon I can see fields and trees outside. The journey has finally started. I feel completely different from how I felt an hour earlier. At the beginning of the morning, I was annoyed because my plans were changing. I thought about the time I was losing and the things I might not be able to do. Now, I feel grateful for that unexpected delay. It gave me something I did not plan. A conversation with someone from my past. A memory that I will probably remember for a long time. As the train continues through the countryside, Mark and I keep talking about our lives, our future plans, and places we would like to visit someday. The journey feels shorter because I am no longer focused on the destination. I am simply enjoying the moment. Sometimes life does not follow the schedule we create. Sometimes a small problem can open the door to something positive. This morning, I thought the delayed train was going to ruin my day. Instead, it gave me a reason to slow down, look around, and reconnect with someone I had almost forgotten. And maybe that is one of the interesting things about unexpected moments. We cannot always choose what happens, but we can choose how we react.